fandom, wherever you may be and however you may be watching, thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your time. It is here, the year of Deadpool Twister. I don't know what we're going to call this month. Somebody's still got to give me a name for it. But we are here, all Deadpool, all Twister, for the entire month of July. So we got Freedom, we've got Explosives, Fireworks, and two of the greatest movie franchises ever is going to occupy this entire month. What's up, my friends? Here to start breaking down the Deadpool franchise with the only two guys I could possibly do a franchise this cool with. Starting with my head of life mate, Jeremy. What's up, brother? Muted still.
You're muted. Still muted. Jeremy.
Well, it would help if you unmute me.
I did. It wouldn't let me unmute because it said you muted yourself.
Well, I don't know why it bothered telling me that I'm muted if I was already muted. Like you tried to do it. Well, now, if anybody can read lips, then you'll know exactly what I said, and it'll remain a mystery what I said we should call this month of reviews.
Oh, that was a perfect way to start this review. That was tremendous. I loved that. That was great.
And, of course, the shape for Lone Star State, my man Tex. What's up, brother?
Patrick Stewart and James McAvoy, which timeline are we even in? Goddamn it. I can't keep up anymore. This is ridiculous. What's up?
It doesn't matter. Deadpool's in his own timeline. He deserves his own Earth. If the MCU is 616, the mutant stuff from Fox is all another one. Deadpool deserves his own designation of universe.
You know, if Deadpool had his own universe with a number designation, it would be like Earth 69, just because it was funny and sexual. It's what his number would be. So, whatever. It's all good.
But let's get right down to it. Start breaking down these movies as we get ready for the big event that will be Deadpool and Wolverine. We're starting off with Deadpool. That is the 2016 American superhero film based on the Marvel Comics character of the same name. Distributed by 20th Century Fox. It is a spin-off of the X-Men film series, and it is the 8th installment overall. Director Tim Miller, in his directorial debut, this film was written by Rhett, Reese, and Paul Wernick. It stars Ryan Reynolds, of course, in the title role, alongside Morena Baccarin, Ed Skrein, T.J. Miller, Gina Carano, and Brianna Hildebrand, with a cameo by the late great Stan Lee. In the film, Wade Wilson haunts the man who gives him mutant abilities and a scarred physical appearance, becoming the anti-hero Deadpool. Deadpool premiered at Le Grand Rex in Paris on February 8th of 2016 and was released in the United States February 12th of that year. After an unconventional marketing campaign, the film achieved both financial and critical success. It earned $782.8 million against a budget of just $58 million, becoming the 9th highest grossing film of the year and breaking numerous records, including the highest grossing film in the X-Men series and the highest grossing R-rated film at that time. Critics praised Reynolds' performance and the film style, as well as faithfulness to the comics, along with its action sequences, though some criticized the plot as formulaic and were divided on the film's adult humor. It received many awards and nominations. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds an approval rating of 85% based on 348 reviews, with an average rating of 7.1 out of 10. The site's critical consensus reads, quote, "Fast, funny, and gleefully profane, the fourth wall bursting Deadpool subverts superhero film formula with wildly entertaining and decidedly non-family friendly results." Yeah, to say the least. Let me go to you first, Tex. Give me some of your quick thoughts on the first installment of the Deadpool franchise.
Yeah, I was never like a huge Deadpool comic reader back in the day whenever I was reading a lot of comics. It was few and far between whenever I would pick up one of his books, but he was always the prior to the boys making fun of the superhero genre, he was that. And, I never thought this guy was going to get a movie. Once the superhero boom hit, DC and Marvel went nuts. I thought there's no way Deadpool's ever getting made. And then we got the crappy version of Deadpool from X-Men Origins Wolverine, which I'm in the minority and actually like that movie, but that Deadpool was god-awful. But then, this movie comes around and, thanks to it being leaked by, blame who you will, I think it was Ryan Reynolds that leaked it personally, but that's, we'll never know for sure. But yeah, I was happy this one came around. This is a fun watch. It's, sit back and laugh and enjoy yourself.
Jay, how about you? Give me some quick thoughts on Deadpool before we get into all the good stuff.
Yeah, if this is your cup of tea, then it's your cup of tea. It's like I, I don't think anyone can look at this and say, yeah, this is definitely Oscar worthy, or this is some um, Daniel Day Lewis bullshit that it's like like I said, gonna win like a million fucking Oscars. Like, no, this is just foul mouth, no apologies, no holds barred, just self-aware superhero. And I'm like, what's not to like about that? Like, that's kind of my alley. I'm like, yeah, we all love the superhero thing, and it, with this still kind of this is gearing up for getting towards the end of Marvel, getting towards like Endgame and Infinity War. But as we were just talking, this guy can be off in his own universe, and we're not mad about it. We love seeing it because this guy just does whatever the fuck he wants, whenever the fuck he wants, because he can. So that's more up my alley. So anyone who doesn't understand that kind of movie, I mean, you're not gonna get it, and you're probably not gonna like it. But that's okay. You don't have to like it.
Yeah, you not liking it is one of the things that makes the movie fun. If you're one of those stick up your butt kind of people when it comes to movies. But look, we needed a superhero movie like this. I mean, because we think about it, every superhero movie is kind of in the same thing. It's all been the guy standing there with the Superman pose, with the flag flying behind him and all that. We needed a different take. And again, this was pre The Boys. So before that, pre like Brightburn, where we took a much darker look at what happens if somebody has superpowers and is not quite right. It gave you a different look. So it took what you could at the time only really do on the page of the comic book and went ahead and put it in the movie and said, screw it, we're just gonna have some fun with this. We're gonna go outlandish and crazy and stupid. And it worked brilliantly because let's face it, like I said, things have been so stuffy for so long in movies. I mean, this was right in the middle of cancel culture, so it's like you couldn't make certain jokes without pissing people off. So people were really sensitive about that, and they were just like, screw it, we're just gonna have fun with it. We're gonna do this kind of humor all day long because that's the core of what this character is. And let's face it, that is not what they gave us when they first tried to put Wade Wilson out there in the X-Men Origins movie with Wolverine. That they completely hamstrung that character and made an exact opposite, which I think just fueled the desire to have a real, more comic book accurate, realistic kind of Deadpool for what we saw in the comics. And I'm glad we managed to get it. But let's talk about the work of Tim Miller. I mean, for a directorial debut, for a movie that was going to be a chance at so many levels anyway. I mean, what a great job that Tim Miller did with this movie. And again, there was a lot of freedom that Fox gave them to make this movie that I don't think a lot of places would. And that probably helps out a lot. But I mean, still a great first effort by Tim Miller. Also, I want to say that he did the Terminator Dark Fate, which I still think is a very underrated movie. Not as good as the first two, not by any stretch of the imagination, but I still think that movie was much better than it gets credit for. And he's been involved in a lot of stuff over the years that is actually really good. I don't know. Jeremy, what do you think about Tim Miller's job in this particular movie and maybe some of the other stuff that he's done?
Well, I haven't watched a Terminator movie since T2 because I have respect
for
this. No, that's a lie.
Save yourself.
No, that's a lie. I watched Salvation just as like
that was good. I like that.
That was fucking god awful. I went on a date with someone last week to go watch it, and I was like, "Yeah, Christian Bale, it's Batman." Okay, well, that was a stupid fucking movie. I don't know. It doesn't. I mean, when you have something of the bar of like T2, you're not gonna. It's all downhill from there. That will always have the high ground. Yeah, I don't know. I can't really speak for Terminator, so going with this movie, yeah, I mean, it kind of is a chance that you're taking with this kind of character because I was looking up what year we reviewed Watchmen, and that came out 2009. I was like, I think that might be the only other time prior to this that we had like a more realistic, like dark take on superheroes. Like, what if one of them just went crazy and just started to fucking murder everything? Because he said, "Fuck it, the world's burning. Why not burn it down too?" So, and this isn't really that same kind of movie, but you know what I mean. It's like we were saying, it's taking a chance on a character that you if you have the freedom to do these kind of jokes and make these, which as we know, Deadpool has now become like you can poke fun at pretty much everything, and you can point at the screen and like Leonardo DiCaprio and be like, nah, see, I get it, like that right there, like yeah, hey, look, I've seen Ferris Bueller, I understand the reference, you know what I mean? So I don't know, just having fun with the character and just having fun with what they made. I mean, why not? And it turned out to be a success, and a lot of people were on board with it. Now, in the vein of when I saw the epic rap battle between Deadpool and Boba Fett, I was like, it's ironic that he's tap dancing out there saying presenting the most overrated character you've ever seen. I'm like, I know he's talking about Boba Fett, but I'm like, you might be looking in a mirror, Deadpool. I was like, it was so fucking overblown. It was just like every fucking where, and I was like, yeah, Deadpool's cool, man, but maybe we take a little bit of a chill pill on this. I'm on the Deadpool train, I'm just saying. But I was like, God damn, you just couldn't escape it. But I guess I'll eat my own words and say, like, no, maybe there was a reason for that. Because here we are now talking about this, and now we're on probably one of the most beautiful mashups of characters of Deadpool and Wolverine. So, we're talking about origins. I'm with Tex. I hated Deadpool in that movie, but I love Wolverine, so my stupid tiny brain was like, yeah,
Hey,
I love Hugh Jackman, and I'm big Wolverine doing whatever he's doing. I don't care how bad it is. But
you can't tell me that fight between Wolverine and the Blob and X-Men Origins Wolverine, if you don't like that, just go join Al Qaeda right now, because you're just a terrible person. I'm sorry.
Hey, look, it's not just
yeah, it's great.
It's not just because I'm Midwestern, but I do say bub quite a lot. I mean, I didn't call him a blob,
Right.
but yeah. No, I know I'm sure we're gonna talk about Origins a few times, but seeing that, and even then I knew, like, what the hell was that? What? Why'd you turn him into Baraka from Mortal Kombat? Like, huh? I'm glad we kind of came back around to it and fixed that. And as I'm gonna say, the greatest thing Deadpool ever did was kill Ryan Reynolds. So good on you, man.
Good boy, Ryan Reynolds. You're welcome.
We have officially retconned and no longer have to deal with or accept Green Lantern. So thank you, Deadpool.
Yeah, it doesn't exist in 616 anymore, at least in that universe. But I don't know, Tex, what do you think? I mean, Tim Miller, again, he's only directed the 2 movies. He's been a producer on all 3 of the Sonic and the Hedgehog movies, as well as he runs the TV show Love, Death, and Robots, which I have not really watched. Tim Miller, how do you think he did in this movie, and what do you think of kind of his work overall?
Yeah, the only 3 films of his I've seen is this one, the first Sonic, and then that god-awful Terminator movie that he should be brought up on war crimes for what he did to poor John Connor in that movie. Geez, like, he just went full-on woke agenda. He just took the black pill, buddy. He went full all the way with it. I hated that movie. So I guess overall, the best I can do is give him like a B- for 2 out of 3. I guess 2 out of 3 ain't bad, right? I mean, every director has a stinker now and then. But I thought he did great with this one. I haven't seen a lot of his other work, but I mean, the Sonic movie was fine. I'm not a video game person. You talk to Casey about that one. I'm sure he, probably jerks off to it or something. I don't know what.
I thought it was okay.
But well, there you go.
You put a bad image in my head of just like Casey jerking off, going like, "Gotta go fast, gotta go fast." I hate you for that. And thank you.
Yes, I got one. I got it today.
When he peaks, you just hear like the bling, like the ring fucking noise.
And now that I said his name, he'll probably appear in the comment section looking for his
speak it, he will come.
I guarantee you. That's what I'm saying. So, but no, Tim Miller, I hated his Terminator movie. Now, as Jeremy was so wisely in saying, the expectations on the Terminator franchise, you're never going to do any better than what's been done. Just go home and save your money. Like, don't even make the film. Like, don't. Don't do a different weird take on it and make John Connor the bad guy or completely kill him off where he doesn't exist. And a illegal immigrant migrant girl is now the new John Connor. Like, don't even try Terminator franchise. It's not going to get any better. So.
You just convoluted it way too much in a movie that's already about time travel and different like possibilities. I'm like, I don't know.
The
idea's already been run into the ground.
I think we can put
having the Terminator suddenly be a good guy in the second movie and having this other terrifying, well played by Robert Patrick T-1000 trying to come after him. I'm like,
yeah. Well, and I mean, now
happened, and
I defend Terminator Salvation because I personally love that movie. I think it's great. It's nowhere nothing like T2. We don't have the purple laser guns and shit, but whatever. I can let that go. But Tim Miller's Terminator is garbage. Do not watch it. This one's good. Sonic 1 was good. I heard Sonic 2 was better. I'm not for sure, but I know they're making a third one, so there is that. So Tim Miller's doing something right. I'll give him that much credit. Just don't do any more Terminators. And I guess
at least Salvation gave us the wonderful Christian Bale meme of him yelling at that fucking guy on set. Oh, good for you. How was it? Give me a fucking answer.
Hey.
Yeah. So thanks for that.
Like I said, I am a staunch Terminator Salvation defender. Yeah, I like that one. I would go as far as to say, Jeremy, I hope you're sitting down. I prefer Salvation over T2. I know what I just said, but
I don't think that's me you're going to piss off. You're going to piss off the entire internet saying something.
Yeah,
like
that. That's fine. Hey, if I piss off the internet, that just raises up our engagement on YouTube. So good.
We did somehow dip back under 800 subscribers. So I know who that little one fucker was that put us at $7.99. But whatever.
Probably Casey.
It probably is.
Damn you, Casey.
All right, so we got to get him back in here.
What's up, Joe Compton? Watching this on Twitter. What's up, brother? I haven't talked to you in a while. Hope you're doing well, my friend. We're friends on Facebook. I see him put stuff on Facebook all the time. But I Sonic movies I've not seen. Sorry, they just don't interest me. I know that we've talked about it a couple of times on here. I'm not into them. Comic book movies. It's not one of the properties to me that's going to break the curse of the comic book movie. So I just haven't bothered. Look, I still think Terminator Dark Fate was a much better sequel than anything else we'd ever really gotten. I think all of them were great concepts. I love the concept of Terminator Salvation, but just none of them have really been done very, very well. I think Dark Fate was probably the best of the bad sequels of that franchise. I just want them to let that franchise die. I mean, it ended okay with Dark Fate, so let's just go with that. But I mean, and I've never watched Love, Death, and Robots. I mean, I've heard it's pretty cool, but I don't really know. And of course, Tim Miller doesn't work in video games too. But I'm actually kind of bummed he didn't come back to the second one. I mean, the second one ended up being just fine, but I kind of wanted some kind of special continuity in that there was, but it would have been nice to have had him come back as director. But I don't think it suffered too much for it. But I like his work so far, and I hope he gets to do more, especially stuff like this where you can really just kind of let it loose. I feel like once you can do that with directors and writers and stuff like that, once they can be creative, it frees things up so much. It's one of the things like Marvel has been successful widely because Feige has let creators, Disney up until Bob Chapek was letting creators run creative stuff, and he kind of gave them carte blanche to do kind of whatever they wanted, and you see what happens when the creativity gets stifled. Once Bob Chapek took over, and that's when Marvel really started to suffer creatively. It wasn't comic book fatigue; it's bad movie fatigue. That's what John Campea says. And we were getting bad movies, and that's where the fatigue came from. So, allowing creative people, just to be creative, you really get a lot of great results. If you'd have told me, in 2015 that they were going to make a $58 million superhero movie, I probably would have laughed at you and been like, "That's just dumb. That movie's not going to make any money. It was only $58 million." But now that I've seen it, and I'm like, holy shit, you can make a good superhero movie that's different and make a ton of money for $58 million. That's what happens when you let creators create. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Joe Compton is unimpressed. I know Frankie deserved better than to have a fake Texan Kmart rhinestone cowboy show.
He's just mad. He's just mad he can't be Joe Exotic. That's all he's mad about.
He's trying. He's working on it.
But one thing One thing I was going to bring up, well, obviously this fell through once Disney bought the X-Men, but I know at one point in time, Tim Miller was attached to another X-Men movie focusing on Kitty Pryde, one of the other lesser known X-Men characters. I don't know how far that got, if they ever got a script, or I have no idea. But I do remember hearing years ago that there was talks of him doing a Kitty Pryde, some kind of spinoff. Now, what universe and timeline, I couldn't tell you, because anybody in the know of the Fox X-Men timelines, I mean, there's a reason why Deadpool jokes about it 3 or 4 times in his films, But I know he was tasked at one point to do more in the Fox X-Men world, but, that's
He also, I forgot about this. He's also doing the reshoots for Borderlands. I guess Eli Roth was off working on another project and had some reshoots that needed to be done for Borderlands. So Tim Miller ran.
Hopefully they kill off Jamie Lee Curtis so I can like the movie. So that's what I'm hoping for.
That's the scene that he's hoping for.
Well, I'm coming at it from the video game angle, where I'm like, I don't know where you really think you're going with this movie, but I mean, I'll give you a fucking chance. That is a game I did actually play, so I mean, I'll be holding it to some expectations.
Right.
Yeah, let's move on now and talk about the cast. And I mean, honestly, who carries this? It's definitely Ryan Reynolds, and in many ways, Morena Baccarin. Yeah. I'll go to you first, Tex. What do you think of the cast of the movie? And other than maybe probably Ryan Reynolds, who stood out to you the most?
Oh yeah, well that's the easy answer. Well, oddly enough, in the comedy movie, the one that always stands out to me the most is, well, he's one of my favorite X-Men of all time, but Colossus in this movie. I like how he plays the straight guy to Deadpool's just absolute off the wall. Yeah, I mean, Colossus was always cool from the 90s X-Men, from the video games and the show and everything else. But his name is the guy that voices him in this film, Stefan Killik, or it's a Russian name. I can't say the last name. Stefan, but either way, he's always my favorite in these first two, or at least in this first one. But yeah, he was so fun to. He's trying to be the straight arrow to Deadpool's just bouncy ball off the wall, just nonsense. He's just trying to contain it, is basically what he's doing. He's the Danny Glover to the Mel Gibson, for if you want to use a little lethal weapon, comparison. But yeah, he's so much fun in this film, and the way Colossus looked in this movie, Jesus, they got it right. Besides, I wish the coloration on the suits were a little more comic accurate, a little more red and yellow. But yeah, Colossus was badass. He's my dude.
Jeremy, what do you think? What do you think of the cast, and who stood out most to you?
Well, yeah, you can't deny the, chemistry between Ryan Reynolds and Monica Baccarin, because we're all always just rooting for the two of them, and we'll get sad when she dies. Sorry for spoilers for the other movie, but
she got better, so it's fine. So she gets better.
Yeah, I mean, I love Firefly to no end, so obviously, Monica Baccarin's a given.
Well, not just that, but she has a thing for comic book guys, because I don't know if you ever watched Gotham, but she was on that show as well, and she was married to the guy. She both starred on Gotham and was married to the guy that played Commissioner Gordon. So
I think
she's got a thing for superheroes.
Nice.
Ben Gordon, or I can't remember what his name is, but yeah, she's got a thing for superheroes. I know
that. But I think obviously I'm gonna have to go with slightly less angry Rosie O'Donnell and have to go with Gina Carano, because
I love Gina Carano.
I'm sorry, my hands are tied, and I mean it's probably fueled more so by If You Know You Know what I'm probably talking about.
Oh, the Disney. Yep.
The whole thing with Mandalorian and Star Wars and Disney.
Mm-hmm.
And in the words of Elon Musk, you can go fuck yourself, Bob. Was that not clear?
I hope Gina Carano ends up owning Star Wars. Please I hope she wins. I'm rooting for her.
There's this weird curse I have where I watch a show and I'm like, oh, I really like this character. This character's pretty badass. And either they get fucking killed, which has happened in every spinoff and main show of Walking Dead. It's happened in Mandalorian because I was like, oh, I like Gina Carano's character. She's pretty badass. She's got a cool backstory. And I'm like, oh, and there she went.
Right.
No, I apparently should just stop getting attached to characters because shit just keeps happening to them. But
you better get rid of that Eddie Munson shit then, or you're going to be pissed off.
He already died. Look, he already died.
He already did.
He already died, but
kill him.
I'm just saying it's
you know he ain't died. They make too much goddamn money off of
no one just dies in D&D. No one dies in superhero movies. It's gonna be fine. He's gonna pop out of the fucking grave as some Cast the Bloody Handed. If anyone knows about D&D, that's kind of his character. I'm like, yeah, someone who can tussle with Vecna. He's coming back. If you don't come out of the grave, pop out of the grave playing some Iron Maiden or something, I'm gonna be really mad. Okay, there's your Eddie joke right there. And maybe inspired Iron Maiden's album. I don't fucking because there's so many versions of Eddie. Yeah, no, I'm sticking with Gina Carano.
Yeah,
Gina Carano.
I can't really decide. I mean, obviously, this whole movie is about Ryan Reynolds, and that's fine because that's the way it worked out. But there's so many other people that add to what this movie is. The one that jumps out at me the most is Morena Baccarin. For one, she's knockout gorgeous. I mean, she is intimidatingly beautiful.
No shit.
Oh yeah.
And for two, it's
Wood.
She is very.
You can get it at any point in her life. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, she is also very much an intellectual equal to Wade in this movie. And, they talk about how what's the phrase they use? Like your crazy fits my crazy. And I'm just like, when there's because everybody's got a jagged edge, and it's like you always find that one person that kind of fits in your jagged edge. Both these characters have so many jagged edges. They are not puzzle pieces that fit together. They are torn up pieces of paper that just happen to work together. There's nothing that makes any sense about them. Everything about their lives is chaotic. But it's like literally finding the one that you love at this level is insane. And that's what this movie is at its core, is a love story. That's what drives this entire movie, is this love story between the two of them. And you don't realize it until you've gotten to the end of the movie. And you're like, oh, wait a minute. This is a guy trying to save his woman. It becomes so. I mean, yeah, Deadpool's talking about how he's chasing Ajax to try to cure his ugliness and whatever to get revenge. But it's like this. He's ultimately at the end of the day driven by love for this woman, and that's kind of what it is at the end of the day. Is a love story told in like a superhero formula, which is really weird. I mean, it's not just like Lois Lane is in love with Superman and she's around while Superman is doing Superman things. The core of this movie is this relationship between these two people, which is very different from a superhero film.
I mean, you saw what she looked like, right? I would be too.
Oh yeah,
God damn it.
Also, I mean, Blind Owl. There's
Blind Owl was great.
There's two or three characters in this movie that really fit, because a movie like this, it would be really, really easy to just have it all be action and then a bunch of comedic shit in between the action, kind of like what we got from like Roadhouse. Like how it was a lot of action and there was a little bit of dialogue in between the fights to kind of make it a movie. But it's like these people add to different depth. So it's like you have this other relationship, this friendship that Wade has built with Blind Owl. And then you've got like Ed Skrein is such a great villain, and a superhero movie is only as good as its villain. And he is a perfect villain for Deadpool in this film. And then you have Dopinder, which is like, who the hell saw this guy being a big part of the movie in the first 10 minutes? But it's like now, it's like this. He is as much a part of this series as Vanessa at this point. So it's such a weird movie as far as these background characters play such integral parts that you don't realize it until the movie's over. And you're like, oh wait a minute, these people were all important. Dopinder wasn't just the guy who drops him off at the fight. He's like a friend. He's part of the circle. He's part of the X-Force before the X-Force becomes a thing in the second movie.
Well, yeah, of course.
And then, of course, the cameo from the one and only.
Oh, yes.
I mean,
yeah.
I love the fact that they're putting his face somewhere in Marvel, every Marvel movie. It's a perfect homage to.
Well, as they should. Yeah. Now, Stan Lee did steal a lot of shit. We found out over the years, but you know what? So does everybody else. So, God bless Stan Lee. He's awesome.
Everybody did back
in
the days. Yeah. It's like I'm not saying it was okay. I'm just saying it's always how it worked out. But let's move on to the plot now. And again, the whole trying to get revenge on the guy that made him a mutant and scarred him physically. Again, a bit formulaic as a plot, yeah, but again, it's all in the presentation. I don't know, Tex, what do you think of the plot of the movie, or is there anything you would have changed?
Well, I like, and this is why, as Jeremy alluded to at the beginning of this, why Deadpool and Wolverine work so well together is they both have the healing factor, but it just turns out that Deadpool's healing factor just regenerates the bad shit that makes him look that way. So he'll never die. He'll just look like he's warmed over death for eternity or whatever. But yeah, no, I like the plot. It works. It's a Deadpool was not a household name to the average comic book person or to the non-comic book fan, and the only interaction that most people had of Deadpool was, oh, he was that sword guy that got his mouth, sewed shut in that terrible X-Men movie 10 years ago or whatever it was. So they really had a task on their hands. Right, yeah. And the whole long katanas coming out of the arms, I still don't understand how you make that. Like, does the sword bend at the elbow? What's going on here? That was just weird. I don't know. But no, the plot works. It gives you an entertaining film that even a non-superhero fan can watch because, like you said, this is a love story. This is the guy going to save his girl, and doing whatever he has to do. And we got Ajax, we got a great villain here. Everything works here, and like I said, credit for bringing a new character to light that most people never know. Now there's a lot of bandwagon Deadpool fans that, like I said, have never picked up a Deadpool comic but can tell you everything about the movies. But I guess you need those people too to build a stable fan franchise that makes money. So whatever.
Well, remember, 90% of the MCU's fan base is non-comic book fans. They're
right.
Well,
right.
So that's not bad. That's not
right.
bad.
Well, yeah. Any fan base needs the casuals that jump on the bandwagon. Now, one thing that I will shame this movie for, this movie proved, well, it's not so much this movie, it's everything else that in the superhero genre. I have always wanted a Batman movie where he had the white fucking eyes like he does in the comic books, in The Mask. This movie proves it works. Why have we not had a Batman with whited out eyes? That looks awesome. You can do it digitally. I don't care whatever you need to do. Give us a Batman with the whited out eyes in The Mask because Jesus Christ, that looks cool. I mean, he has one of the best suit designs that we've seen. It's simple, basic, but it works, But yeah, plot, everything, yeah, it's no real, I can't find anything that I would change that was that offensive. So yeah, all good here.
Jeremy, how about you? Plot of the movie, again, they're right that it's a bit formulaic, but is there anything you would have changed, or do you think this is just kind of perfect the way they did it?
Everything's formulaic at this point. Like we said, story is a story.
Exactly.
There's only so many stories you can tell in different iterations, different, like some shows, CSI shows, like, well, the names and locations have been changed to protect the identity. Yeah, like it's just different names and places. All these stories have been told a million different ways, different characters, different times. So I don't really, if that's the biggest complaint, that's not really much of a complaint at all, honestly. Like,
well, just because something's formulaic, that doesn't mean it's bad. Like, I've never understood that.
Like this works. Like, it's a class. If you can take a story as pretty, I don't say basic, but as pretty formulaic and I guess and straightforward as that, and still make it work and blow up into something that it did. Even just after this first movie came out, like we said, this took off in a whole way, and like everyone was even more hyped for 2 coming out, and then like I know everyone's losing their damn mind over 3 because then we saw Logan, and I know he mentions like, yeah, that little fucker stole that the best R-rated movie from me because I did that first. I'm like, yeah, here it goes. That's why we want to see these 2 together now.
He said, technically, you see them together in this one though. Whenever Deadpool's wearing, Wolverine's face or Hugh Jackman's face, I guess. Technically that counts. I think so. That's all good.
That's true. I think the thing with the swords coming out of his arms, like Baraka from Mortal Kombat, as I mentioned.
Yeah.
if it's really that much of a deep cut, I'm like, is it that deep cut of a joke? That's like, yeah, Deadpool and Wolverine are kind of the same character. They're the same powers, just maybe they regenerate, like you said, different ways. Like he has cancer, and that's what's just turning over, and Wolverine's just mutated to where he can't. He just heals and stupid fast, and then just happen to have adamantium bones, which. To be fair, even I know we're not going to talk about where the sword somehow bends or something, but like, where do those go? I know they're between his bones, but you're going to tell me these.
Right, yeah. Shouldn't there be like a imprint of a katana blade sticking out of the skin?
I'm like,
the claws I can understand. Right, the claws I can understand, but the sword, the science here kind of bothers me a little bit. Whatever.
I'm not as jacked as Hugh Jackman either, so I mean his arms are fucking massive. So sure, maybe he can hide the blades somewhere in there, but I don't know. It makes
we're way too poor to afford those superhero steroids that all them boys get to take to make their movie stuff.
Yeah,
it's all good.
Yeah, I love the plot of the movie. Again, it could be its own thing. You didn't have to pull anything directly out of the comic books or anything. You could do something fairly new because, like Tex said, this was kind of a relatively obscure character to make a comic book movie out of. Especially at this point, we've already had at that point 6 years of the MCU. I don't remember exactly what point of the MCU we were at in 2016, but yeah. So to kind of take it a different direction like that, I think it was really to help the MCU stay fresh. Is that you've got this one outlier thing. The crazy superhero of the superhero genre, and then we can go back to the MCU for a more serious superhero movie. But yeah, I love the plot. I wouldn't change a thing about this. Again, like I said, it's a love story at its core. And one of the things I noticed that they did in this movie, like the first Star Trek movie that J.J. Abrams did, he said that he paid a lot of attention to that first scene because to the opening scene of that movie because he wanted to draw women in. He said not just because women are a big part of the audience, but because if you can get women, because he knew the guys were going to take their dates there to go see this movie. So he wanted women to get invested in the characters, and he knew that by getting women into it early, that they would be paying attention to the story as a whole. And that's really what they did for most of the first act of this movie. It's a rom-com. There's no superhero stuff about it. It's all them building the relationship, those quirky little lines that go back and forth between them as they meet at the bar. Even the whole calendar girl scene, that's kind of as funny as it is them building that loving relationship. So that's one of the things that gets women involved. It even came out around Valentine's Day. It came out on the 12th, February 12th of that year. So it was a rom-com romance kind of at its core. That's one of the things they did to make this different. Because you can have, like I said, you can have Lois Lane being in love with Superman, but it's not really a romantic thing as much as it's just about Superman, kicking Zod's ass and, dealing with Lex Luthor, and Lois is just kind of a character that's there. She is integral to this character forming, which I think is fantastic. It's a great way to do things. You can never do something like this with Lois Lane. You never could. I mean, she, as much as they are alike and they're very strong characters, very strong women, it's like these are two also very different individuals, and I don't think you could have pulled this shit off with somebody like Lois Lane. But let's talk about what's coming now for R-rated movies. I mean, I cannot be happier that the R-rated movie is making a comeback. I mean, I've talked ad nauseum about how much I love movies like Porky's and things like that, and the whole cancel culture bullshit. Can't make certain jokes because you're upsetting somebody has kind of ruined comedy and ruined the R-rated movie. But this movie seemed to kind of be one of the first to kind of usher that kind of thing back. And now we're starting to see it more. We're starting to see a couple more movies kind of get back into that rhythm. Tex, do you think that the R-rated movie, because of Deadpool, is starting to make a little bit of a comeback? At least in the comedy sense?
Well, I don't know if you recently watched the roast of Tom Brady on Netflix that came out a few weeks ago, but I think you can confidently say, at least in comedy wise, the cancel culture it's like we're not at peak status like we were. We're making our way down the hill. And of course you have to look at a movie like this. It's, the comedy heals, and I think one of the biggest problems in society today is everybody takes themselves so fucking serious they can't take a joke anymore. And that drives me crazier than anything. I don't care what your politics are. I don't care who you vote for or what you sleep with. Be able to make fun of yourself and others. And a movie like this is a sign that you can enjoy life. And Deadpool, he's very out there, both comedically, sexually. I mean, and Deadpool hits on anything with a pulse. It doesn't matter if it's a hot woman or if it's a dude made out of steel. He's trying to hit it. He doesn't give a shit. So whatever. But yeah, no, this you have to look at this movie as one of those that is, if we go full back with the comedy, with the nudity, with the making fun of anybody, this movie will be credited and looked back on as one of the first major steps towards that. Because I mean, that's kind of the whole charm of Deadpool is, oh hey, I'm a superhero, but I'm gonna say fuck a lot, and I'm talk about a dude with shiny steel smooth balls, So I mean, he can kind of do both. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I don't know. Jeremy, what do you think? The R-rated movies, are they starting to come back?
Well, as unrealistic as this, story may be, you can't tell me this isn't the most realistic version of a superhero. And I'm not trying to project, but I'm like, I am this friend. I am this person right here. And you need that person in your life. And I don't understand why, I don't know if you don't have someone like that. I don't know what you're doing, because right. That's like we were saying, comedy is, it can be a good thing. And it's, like I've said, I just finished watching a comedy special before we got on here, and the point is, like I've said before, like when you go to any type of sporting games, you go to music fests, you go to Comic-Con. I'm like, that's a whole wide range of people, but the thing is, you're all there because you all love that same thing, and that's what's wild. Like you can all come together with something comedic. You can all sit back and laugh. You can laugh at the same things. That I hope so. At least you can, and what's wrong with making it a little more edgy, because it's, if it's kind of like, yeah, it's something that could be uncomfortable, but you can make people laugh about it. You're like, yeah, makes you feel a little better about it, right? So this is, I think, the way you would do an R-rated movie the right way. And like I said, this is all those little bits of, you get your Leonardo DiCaprio moment where you're like, I get it. I get what he's talking about. Like, oh yeah, that's a reference to Green Lantern. Let's not do that again, please. And when he calls Gina Carano,
don't make the super suit animated in green.
Like when he called her Rosie O'Donnell, I thought that was the funniest fucking thing, because I'm like, okay, why not? Just
and she is Gina Carano is way more attractive than Rosie O'Donnell. Let's be honest here. I'm not going to perpetrate that.
She wishes she was at least. Yeah.
Gina Carano is a gorgeous woman, so
yeah,
she ain't no fat cow like that bitch
is. So yeah, I think it's kind of bringing it back around, because again, we can all laugh at the dumb shit he's talking about, and still enjoy the story of the movie, but you get your moments of self-awareness or something that someone hasn't pointed out yet. And like I said, I see a lot of clips of people doing comedy where someone yells like, "Oh, why don't you go to therapy?" And they're like, "Why the fuck do you think I'm up here? You think I was a fucking star athlete football player? No, I got problems. The fuck?" You're sitting here laughing along with me as I tell you about it. So, you know what I mean? Keep making movies like this, please.
Yeah, I love the fact that R-rated. One of the best films of the 80s, Revenge of the Nerds, is a classic, R-rated. Porky's, classic, R-rated. I mean, even like some of the great comedy, Meatballs, Stripes, some of the great comedies of 30 years ago, 40 years ago, were all R-rated. And when you look, even American Pie, it's like, again, not my favorite decade of movies, but you were able to make kind of a heartfelt movie that had those jokes, those teenage dick and fart jokes that worked really well. And then all of a sudden, for some reason, after we got past American Pie, people were like, oh, you can't make certain jokes anymore. And that kind of neutered all the good things about R-rated movies. Because one of the things that I think R-rated movies give you, and similar to kind of what horror movies do, is I always say that horror movies are popular amongst people because, whether they want to admit it or not, because everybody kind of wants to understand death. Everybody has this infatuation with death. And it's like, so a horror movie lets you kind of walk on that side of the fence for a minute without actually having to deal with any of these experiences. Same thing with the R-rated stuff. It's cathartic. It's you get because everybody's so afraid or doesn't want to make these jokes, or even before the cancel culture, you were afraid to make certain jokes, but at the same time, you kind of need to laugh at this kind of stupid, over-the-top humor to give yourself that release. And that's what these R-rated movies, I think, did for the longest time. And then after a while, when you couldn't make them anymore, that vent wasn't there. And when that vent isn't there, it's like you don't have any way to kind of, because laughing at somebody else's dirty joke is how you get over not being able to tell that dirty joke yourself. And without having that avenue to enjoy this kind of humor, everybody started to get really, really stuffy. And I think that's when you start to see some of the societal things that happen. Maybe people start lashing out. I'm not trying to act like I'm a psychiatrist or anything like that. But if you don't have that vent, then how do you get those giggles out of your system and then still stay normal when it's all getting trapped inside you? So I'm glad the R-rated movies are making a comeback. I'm hoping that at some point we can see more Deadpool-like superhero movies. Well, we're getting with The Boys. I mean, let's face it. What year did The Boys start? The Boys started after this.
Was that also around that time? I thought it was like 16 or something.
I think it started after this. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, but even I've been recently going through The Boys to try to catch up. Even The Boys is woke. I mean, let's not stand here and lie. If we're going to compare apples to apples,
this season is awful when it comes to that. Like this season,
it is bad with it. Yeah.
This I mean, I can get through the fact that most of the series has got some woke undertones just because it's so outlandish and stupid anyway. But this season, they are making obvious comparisons between Homelander and Trump, which is really annoying. It's kind of taking me out of what I enjoy the show. Yeah, like even mentioning January 6th as being an important day of the universe, I'm just like, come on, just stop.
I mean, I will say I'm not the biggest fan of The Boys. I've never picked up a Boys comic book in my life. I know nothing about them. But the show's not bad. I mean, Jensen Ackles is Soldier Boy tremendous. I loved what he did on that show. But overall, that's a woke show, but I think that the only reason that gets a pass is because it's a gruesome superhero show. I think that's the only reason that gets by with it. Whereas what Deadpool does, it has woke elements to it, but that's not the focus and that's not the point. They're smarter in their writing, it seems, than The Boys are. So, whether that's Ryan Reynolds or I don't know who's doing that, but Deadpool does it better than The Boys does. I will give them that credit.
The Boys came out in 2019.
19, that's what I thought. Well, I was going to say with like Monica Baccarin, I was like, well, see, now this is how you make a strong female character and not be fucking annoying and obnoxious about it.
She's not some fucking Mary Sue, Ray Palpatine,
like,
now I identify as Skywalker. Yeah.
Like you wouldn't want to fuck with her, but she'd definitely still sit on your face. So, as she said.
Isn't that what we're all looking for in a woman, is a woman who can handle her own shit and still sit on your face? Like, that's a good one right there.
Exactly. So, like, I don't, you can do it a right way, and that's, and as I was saying with the, comedians and having self-deprecating humor, if you can't at least laugh at yourself, Mike, if anything we're going to talk about in this review of this one and the next movie, I'm like, yeah, Ryan Reynolds can obviously laugh at himself and be like, yeah, Green Lantern was stupid, wasn't it? So was X-Men Origins. Yeah, what a fucking idiot, right? Like, come on, if you can't at least have fun with it, I mean.
Hey, I'll say this. I know Green Lantern sucks. That movie was terrible. But I still like Ryan. I like Ryan Reynolds as Hal Jordan. I think he deserves a second shot at that character. I would be open to seeing him on a different take.
Maybe
just
with
saying.
Wolverine and Deadpool, there could be another version since he killed the one we all know.
Hey, you know what? Hey, Marvel has opened this universe up to however many they need. So I would love. How fun would it be in Deadpool and Wolverine to see like a unlicensed green superhero that has like a flashlight instead of a lantern or something, and that's their version of Green Lantern? That could be kind of cool.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
They kind of did that. I don't know if you guys watch Invincible on Amazon. The other thing that is also kind of fun, but there towards the end of this most recent season of Invincible, when the title character is being thrown around from one dimension to another. There's this picture of him sitting on a rooftop in what is supposedly Gotham, and he's talking to Batman, although it doesn't name him. And so he's sitting there, and like in the corner of the screen, like right down here, you kind of see a cow like floating in the breeze, but you don't actually see Batman. So, and he's sitting there on the edge of the building in his costume, saying, "So," and he's looking at him. He goes, "So it's like you're a bat and you're like a man. Isn't the name a little on the nose?" and then that's when the portal opens up and swallows him, and he goes back to his universe. Aww. So you don't really see. And then you actually get to see him talk with somebody who's clearly a Spider-Man knockoff. He's in like a red, white, and blue suit, like Captain America. But he's got the mask and he's hanging from webs, clearly like Spider-Man. So I think it's Spider-Man knockoff. But yeah, I think it's only a matter of time before we see Marvel and DC in a movie together.
They've done it in the comic books before. They did it in the 90s where they were called amalgam comics, where like the worlds combined in some weird way. They did a whole run of those. They can do it in the movies. It will work.
And I mean, look, anything can happen. There's a rumor that I read about, and I don't know that it's true. This is one of the ones that seems a little too outlandish even for this movie. But Deadpool and Wolverine is apparently going to have a Henry Cavill cameo as Wolverine. That he might be one of the variants. Now, I personally don't believe a word of that particular one. That's one that I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think that's how, because I've heard that Henry Cavill has been in talks with Disney about joining Marvel in some capacity. I don't quite know what. None of that's been confirmed. Just all stuff that some people have put out there. I don't think that if he joins the MCU, it's going to be in this movie. I also don't. It would be no look. But again, this is one of those movies where it's like anything is possible when it comes to cameos and crazy shit that could happen, but not necessarily be a continuing part of the MCU. So maybe, because I'm already thinking like that white suit Wolverine that they're walking up on in the trailer. I'm pretty sure that looks a lot like Harry Potter. It looks a lot like Daniel Radcliffe from behind. He's not as big. I would love it. I've already heard some crazy shit about the kind of Wolverine variants we're going to see in this movie, and I would love to see just every.
There's supposed to be multiple variants of Wolverine in that film.
I would love to see the wildest actors come play one. I want to see like the Tony Stark played by Tom Cruise. I want to see that in this movie just for the visual. I know that people have Photoshop shit in there. It's not the same. I just want the visual of like that mask opening up and it's Tom Cruise's face.
Come on, we kind of got Nick Cage as Superman. Like, come on, it was kind of funny.
It was.
No, we got a CGI render that kind of looks like Nick Cage. Is what we got.
We knew what
a bastardized version of Christopher Reeve and Helen Slater and Adam West. What are we doing?
How else were you going to get Adam West and like?
Maybe we don't do it. Maybe we just hold back off on a couple.
He's fucking dead. Like, that was cool.
But this is the movie where it's going to make a lot more sense. As much as I really liked that scene in The Flash, I think that was one of the more interesting scenes to me. I kind of like how it brought everything that we've always loved about the DC stuff over the years together. It's like, wouldn't this be the perfect movie to make some crazy shit like that happen, though? Because it's like I said, it doesn't have to have a lasting effect. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It's just the one visual that gives the fans that one gigantic explosion in the theater to see one person turn around and be like that version of whatever character. I think it'd be fun.
He's no longer the Man of Steel. He's now the man of adamantium.
Hey, you know what?
Funny.
It occurred to me the other day when I first read this thing the other day about Henry Cavill potentially being a Wolverine variant. What the thought that crept into my head is Henry Cavill is Dr. Doom.
I like that better, actually.
He's already played the good guy superhero Superman. He's got that under his belt already. I'm sorry that it was as short-lived as it was, but I mean, he's already done it. You need somebody who casts a physically imposing character to play Dr. Doom, which is one of the things they didn't have in the Fox ones. The guy that played Dr. Doom, the guy that played Victor Von Doom in there, wasn't necessarily as physically imposing. And on top of that, Henry Cavill's a giant nerd.
Yeah, I was like, I know he would be into it.
Like, he would attack this with fucking gusto.
It's not like every project that poor Henry Cavill gets attached to, whether it's Witcher, Superman, Warhammer 40K, he ends up getting screwed over somehow, and somehow it doesn't shape out. So I got a feeling he's probably got some frustration. He would love to get out on screen, and as a villain, that would be great. And it wouldn't even matter if he had the mustache like he did when he was Superman, because he's wearing a metal hood. So it's fine. You can have your mustache, Henry Cavill. Go for it. Have a full-on Fu Manchu if you want one. It's all good. So I'm down.
But let's talk a bit about the marketing for this movie. Good God. I mean, it's like, look, J.J. Abrams was Super 8, and really with a lot of his early films. That kind of viral, crazy, not normal marketing is, I think it's the way to go for certain films. I don't think it would work for every film. But I think it's the way to go for certain films. Did the marketing help or hurt your anticipation for this movie? I'm not talking about the marketing that we've gotten for Deadpool Wolverine coming up here in a couple of weeks. I'm talking about just this movie.
Yeah, no.
Did the marketing help, or did the marketing get you beefed up more, or how did it affect your desire to want to see the film?
Well, I'm trying to remember how early did the test footage for this movie leak prior to the actual film coming out?
No,
do y'all remember?
Way before.
Wasn't it?
Way before this film was even shot. Because that footage that leaked was stuff that Tim Miller and Ryan Reynolds did.
Reynolds had shot, yeah.
It was never meant to get released to the public. It was the kind of thing that you show to the big.
It was test footage for the studio
to try to show them. To try to show them that it's not something. It's something that happens a lot for movies. Is you'll get together and you'll shoot little things. Like,
it was basically a proof of concept, basically, is what it was.
That's what ended up being leaked by somebody who the hell knows who. Whatever. It doesn't really matter as long as they got the movie made. But yeah, so that's not unusual. But I just mean the marketing as a whole. I mean, I've seen some cool marketing gimmicks, like the whole thing with Smile when it came out. They had the people behind home plate at baseball games just standing there smiling, staring right at the camera, that kind of thing. I've seen some funny things.
Yeah.
But I mean, this movie kind of took it to a different level. Tex, what do you think of the marketing?
I think the three best marketing campaigns for a film I've ever seen were one, Blair Witch Project. I think that takes the cake every time because that was kind of the first to get to really use the internet. The whole clown thing that I don't think the studio got this going whenever the It movie came out, but there was like random clowns everywhere people were seeing, and like that they really played into that for the marketing. This one was pretty good as well. I don't think I can put it above the It or definitely not over Blair Witch, but I'd say it's somewhere close to the Cloverfield stuff, with the whole internet marketing and the whatever. And it's like I said, that whole test footage leaking out, and everything else. So it's, they had to do something creative to get who is Deadpool out there other than the weird guy with everybody's, superpowers and katana swords in his arm. I couldn't imagine you have to get funny and get creative whenever you're trying to get over that hill. It's not like you're making a Batman movie where everybody knows who he is. So, yeah, I thought they did pretty well with it.
Jeremy, how about you? Me, I know me and you love the marketing for all kinds of movies, especially when it's really entertaining and fun. Did the marketing for this movie affect you at all in wanting to see this?
Well, yeah, it makes it fun. The thing that I think is absolutely always the funniest goddamn thing is when I walk into a store and the entire that little island of just movies is all movies we know, but they plastered Deadpool on them instead. And I'm like, that is the funniest damn thing. Like, you can have Go with the Wind with Deadpool. You can have Twister with
They had
Deadpool.
so many covers, dude. Or so
that's
many.
just the funny thing to do is putting Deadpool in everything. And I mean, if that's not kind of on the nose, it's like he just exists.
Oh yeah.
Period. Everywhere. I mean, how is that not fun? And also, that's funny. Like, if you have a movie that you really like, say all of a sudden it's him posing, going into the floor and looking at a watch instead of Marty and Doc. It's like, I would take a version of Back to the Future that just has Deadpool in it. Fuck it, it's funny. You know what I mean? So when you put it everywhere like that, it does kind of, it gets it out there. And I know we're going to have a kind of a prediction about what we're going to see in Deadpool and Wolverine, but I'm like, I have no damn clue where to even start. So that's what, that's what it gets you thinking, like, what's going to happen in this movie? Like, right. Yeah, you can show me Domino, you can show me Cable, but I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen because anything can happen. And that's part of the ride. That's the fun part. So.
What's your name, kid? Negasonic Teenage Warhead? What the shit?
Oh my god, that is such a cool name.
Negasonic Teenage, what the shit?
Like, and then little quip from me, like, he's like, hey, zip it, Sinead O'Connor. Like with just little quips like that.
The way he hits that, what the shit? It's like it like he says it so outlandish. It's like, it hits every time. It never doesn't work. It's great. The comedic timing on that one.
Where's your duffel bag?
I love it.
Shit!
12 bullets to glory.
Maximum effort. Okay. And I can't help it. I do it in video games all the time. I jump down and I'm like, boom, superhero landing.
Superhero landing. Yeah, superhero landing.
That's even an emote in Fortnite, by the way. I'm pretty sure both Jeremy and I have it.
Yeah, I think we do have that one.
But
right.
Yeah, I wonder whose idea it was to market like this. I don't know if it was Ryan Reynolds suggesting that this is the way they should market it because it was going to be a different kind of movie, or if maybe some genius at Fox at the time was like, you know what, we're going to go ahead and just market this movie in this crazy, stupid way because we're only spending $58 million on it. It's not like it's actually part of the MCU; it's barely part of the X-Men universe. So maybe we'll just go ahead and market it this really weird way. But yeah, however, it worked. I mean, it worked fantastically. Of course, I'm getting messages from Rumble about people wanting
that's the whole thing is, I mean, when you've got such an outlandish fourth wall breaking character, which I'm really curious. I mean, She-Hulk was garbage. Like, I couldn't make it through 2 episodes of that god awful show. I tried. I wonder how they're going to handle Deadpool's fourth wall breaking with her fourth wall breaking, because we've already seen how hers is and how Kevin Feige is a robot camera in that world. Like, is that how Deadpool sees it? I'm curious to see how they handle that. But the market, like when you're marketing this kind of outlandish, you can't market this as, hey, mom and dad, bring your kid to the new superhero film because we're going to say the F word 25 times and we're going to show sexual stuff. So you have to establish early so you don't get that one mom that doesn't really pay attention, but little Johnny and Susie see, ooh, new superhero, we want to go. And then she writes letters and then we have to censor crap because one mom was stupid. Unfortunately, that happens quite a bit. But you have to establish early, this is not for the family. This is out there. This is blue, as they old term would say. But I thought they did good with it.
I still think it'd be an absolutely hilarious movie premise to, like, I know everyone's like, put him in X-Men, put him in this, put him in this Marvel. I'm like, in this Marvel thing, I'm like, you know what? That would be absolutely hilarious since those movies aren't rated R. And wouldn't that just be hilarious the whole time he's waiting for it? He's like, I got one F-bomb. I gotta wait. He's like, oh, nope, damn it, no. Like the whole movie, he's fighting it, and then when he finally gets his moment to drop it, it's glorious. Like, wouldn't that not just be a hilarious premise for one of the movies?
Since I'm not going to use this for our prediction part, I'm going to throw this in there for free. Just imagine this, okay? In Deadpool and Wolverine, we get Chris Evans back, but as Human Torch, right? So we have Chris Evans, Human Torch. Deadpool gets his one F-bomb and he says it, and then we have Human Torch go, language, and then he points like as if he's Captain America. He's like, oh, he did the thing. He did the thing. I need that in Deadpool 3. I think that would be really fun.
Or you can kind of do something like that. Or you can kind of do what he did in like Fall Guy, where he just looks at him and goes like, what the shit, Cap?
Language.
But you know what I would love to see, and I was talking to somebody about this several years ago when one of the newer Star Wars movies was coming out. I was just like, I wonder, because some franchises are so big that they almost market themselves. Like MCU has gotten there. Star Wars, I think, is one of them. So I got to
Batman, that's all you got to say.
I got to think about it. I was like, I wonder how it would go. Nobody would ever have the balls to do this. There's no studio out there that ever have the balls to do this. But I would really love to see just how it would go. If they were to come, because Comic-Con's in a couple weeks. Comic-Con is going to be going on when Deadpool and Wolverine drops. So we've got Comic-Con news coming up as well here in the next few weeks. And Marvel's going to own Hall H this year, from what I hear. So we're probably going to be getting some good Marvel stuff. But I wonder what it would be like if somebody were to come out and say, okay, Star Wars episode, what's the next one would be? 10? Star Wars episode 10, here's the release date. No trailers, no nothing. See you at the theater. Nothing. All we know is the movie's coming. I wonder how that would affect, because there wouldn't be any.
Well, but what we're already doing with Star Wars, people will be like, okay, but I'm not going to waste.
Well, 6 and 7.
Fair enough, but I mean, you can announce a cast.
I know what you're saying.
I mean, announce a cast and just say, here's our cast. This person's playing Luke, Leia, blah blah blah, or whoever else is going to be in the movie. Here's our cast. We'll see you in May 13th of 2027. See you then. And then just like nothing else.
I think that would only work.
Don't give me any screenshots. Don't give me anything.
I think the next thing is probably, I don't know if it's going to be episodic, but like the next thing really in the timeline is like with Rey. And I'm like, I'm already just kind of not excited for it. We're like, okay.
Well, yeah, you couldn't do that with Star Wars. Now, it's not Star Wars anymore. Star Wars was good. Lucas Star Wars. Disney Star Wars is hot garbage that needs to be burnt and buried. But Disney Star Wars, you can only do something blind like that, no trailer, just announce a date, with something that's got good credit and good faith towards it. Like,
okay.
Whatever.
Let me throw this at you then. One of the things I read today is that in the summer of 2026, we are getting both Shrek 5 and Toy Story 5. They announced
Shut the fuck up. No. That pissed me off so goddamn much when I saw those stupid little fucking green ears pop up on my fucking screen. The number 5, and I was like, "Get the fuck out!" I thought she was kidding. She told me that earlier. I'm like, "You are 3 movies
I like Shrek.
ass deep on Shrek. I love Shrek. I love Shrek 1 and 2. You did not have to run that shit into the fucking ground."
So, like, would that be? Would one of those movies be one of the ones where you can just say, "Okay,
sorry,
June 7th, 2020, 2025." 2026, rather. I'm sorry. We're getting Toy Story 5. See you guys in the theaters, and then no trailers, no, because they've already announced Tom Hanks and
you know what the
going back. So
Tim Allen.
Yeah.
You know what the problem is?
I'm good with.
You already said it right there. 5. We don't fucking care anymore. Jesus, you can't keep making these movies.
Well,
I know we've spread it out. Like we talk about Star Wars fatigue, where it's like 5 new damn shows and 8 new movies every fucking year, every 6 months, and we're like, okay, slow down. There is time between
when it comes to Star Wars,
franchise, but we need to calm down with these sequels.
They need to stop making Star Wars for about 10 years and let some anticipation build back up. Is what they need to do. But when it comes to Shrek or Toy Story, and they were to just say August of 2027. These movies are coming out, I'd be okay with that. I mean, I'm to the point where I don't even really need a trailer nowadays anyways. I mean, I'll be real honest with you. You have to try really hard to not be spoiled for a movie that you want to see, whether it's social media, YouTube, just plain old internet. I mean, if you Google Deadpool 3, you're going to be, put into the algorithm of, oh, here's this article, here's that article, here's a spoiler, here's what Sabretooth looks like. We're all getting spoiled no matter what. You're going to see it. So it would be kind of refreshing to go into a movie like we did years ago when, Batman Returns is coming out. You get 2 minutes, and that's literally it, and you just go in blind. I'd be down for it, but it has to be with the franchise that is within good standing. It can't be a Disney Star Wars. I would not be okay with that. I would say even Marvel would not be able to get away with that. There are very few properties that I would think could. So I don't know.
One that did was like the sequel for The Incredibles. I'm like, I think you just flash that logo and you tell people, hey, it's coming. It's like, oh shit. People got excited and it was a good movie. Now, again, it's 15 years later, but shit, it happened, I guess. And it was a sequel. We're not like, we didn't have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then up to that point, you have like your 7th Incredibles movie where it's been like,
They could do it with Batman. I'll say that. And whether it's Pattinson Batman or whatever the DCU Batman is going to be. I think if James Gunn came out in Hall H this year and said, Jensen Ackles is our Batman, here's Robin, here's Joker, Riddler, and Bane. We'll see you in 2 years. No trailers. The whole thing is shot on a soundstage, so there's no leaks. We'll see you in 2 years. That I would be okay with. I'd be down for that.
I think I just watched something about Ghostbusters, and they're like, back in the day, all they actually showed was like this 30-second little thing of just a black background that showed the. They didn't even say what it was called. They didn't even say what the movie was called. It just showed the Ghost logo and said, like, saving the world this summer. Here you go. I'm like, what the hell is that? What is that? What? Who are we gonna call? I don't know. Who is it? You know what I mean? Or the one they had for Back to the Future.
Call 411, 911. Do I call poison control? What's going on? What do I do here?
Like the one for Back to the Future. You just see him like you just see the flashing lights on the car. The
Back to the Future, you can do that with. That would work.
All they did was have him get into the car and you hear some lady say like, "So how far are you going?" He just like, about 30 years, and takes off. And you're like,
where we're going, we don't need no roads.
Exactly.
I still think it'd be a fun little experiment. And now, again, there's way too much money they put into some of these movies, especially like one of the franchises that could pull it off. There's way too much money that they put into these movies not to try to advertise them to get the money back. But at the same time, I think it'd be an interesting experiment for somebody to try. But let's get into a little bit of the trivia now, if we shall. Let's start with Dopinder. During a talk at Google, Ryan Reynolds revealed that the taxi driver character Dopinder was named after a really cool guy he knew in elementary school who died when hit by lightning. The character is meant to be a tribute to him.
Oh, nice.
That's a nice little tribute. I mean, you get to be the driver of the the mark with a mouth. I mean, there's worse things to be in life.
I just wonder what it would have been like to grow up with Ryan Reynolds. Was he always Ryan Reynolds, or was he like a reserve child who kind of didn't come out of his shell until high school?
Well,
I wonder what that would have been like.
That's the thing. Watch him have been like an introvert, and he didn't speak till he was 7 years old or something, and then it just all came out at once, kind of thing. I could see that being true.
Now my whole life makes sense when you put it that way,
huh?
Yeah,
he sat in the back of the room with a hoodie over his head. He was either going to shoot the school up, or maybe he was going to be your best friend. Yeah, you don't know.
Right? Is he the school shooter?
For legal reasons, what I just said is actually a joke, and no, I would not do that. Nor do I endorse that kind of thing.
Yeah, don't endorse that kind of behavior. Not cool. But
you know what I'm saying? It's just a goddamn joke. We're here to laugh about it. Okay.
Right.
It's not funny.
Ryan Reynolds has said that Deadpool will be the last comic book character that he will ever portray. However, he doesn't reject the future Deadpool sequels and or cameos.
Well, we're on the third movie now, so...
Well, that's what worries me is, I mean, he's not going to play this character forever. I mean, I don't know Ryan Reynolds' age. He's got to be getting close to 50, I would think. I'm not sure how old.
40s, isn't he?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. But Deadpool, I don't want to see an MCU Disney-fied version of Deadpool. The only reason Deadpool has
indication that we're not going to see that.
No.
Well, we're not going to see that with the Ryan Reynolds version, is what I'm saying. Now, when he stops playing the character and somebody else steps into it, we might see a friendlier version, is what I'm worried about. Where, like, I'm trying to. I don't remember what the name of the Spider-Man cartoon was, but it was on that Disney XD. It was a Spider-Man cartoon where he would team up with other Marvel characters, and they had Deadpool on there, and like he would kind of say stuff, and then they would cut away when like, oh, he's about to say a swear word or whatever. So I don't want Deadpool to become that in the MCU because that's kind of the only reason why he's a thing. So they got to be careful about that.
I mean, they did straight up poke fun at Disney in this newest trailer where he just like straight fourth wall breaks and he's like, yeah, it's nothing new for me. Not for Disney either. I'm like, son of a bitch. I don't think they're in danger of he took a shot at Disney like 20 seconds or 10 seconds into that trailer, so no.
Picture I want to say. I just realized I didn't have any pictures of Negasonic Teenage Warhead, which I don't know why I didn't get one.
Wow.
I also didn't. I kind of swore I grabbed a couple. I don't know why it didn't work out that way, but whatever. I do it all the time. Where I'll go to download a picture of it for some reason. It won't put itself in stack.
That's not very maximum effort of you.
Well, it's not me. It's my computer. Yeah, I don't know. I thought I had a picture, but I don't. So we'll go here instead. In an interview, writer Rhett Reese stated that Negasonic Teenage Warhead wasn't always intended to be in the film. Other X-Men, such as Cannonball, were considered, but they eventually used Negasonic Teenage Warhead because they liked her name better.
Yeah, what the shit?
Right?
That is the coolest name. Yeah, it works.
Well, it works.
very
It's,
accurate.
and then, I mean, of course, we'll get into the quick cameo of other X-Men and Deadpool 2 that we get from across the room or whatever. But, it's that's what I'm saying. I'm curious to see how Deadpool interacts with like the rest of the Marvel world. And now I may be biased, but I prefer the Marvel movies over the Disney Marvel movies. But I'm impartial, so we'll see how it goes. So.
Yeah, sometimes though, like that, because like you could have had Cannonball, that would have been fun. But sometimes that mnemonic play is important. I was watching this interview with Judge Reinhold a couple of days ago, talking about the new Beverly Hills Cop movie that just came out, which is quite fun, by the way. And he was talking about when they made the first movie that scene with the bananas and the tailpipes. I don't know if you guys remember that scene or not, but that was supposed to be potatoes. And Eddie Murphy's the one that changed it because he was like, potatoes aren't funny, bananas are. and that scene ended up becoming one of the scenes that is kind of endeared from that movie to people over the last 30-something years, is the bananas in the tailpipe. Even that line about, I ain't gonna fall from a banana in my tailpipe. Even that line in the movie is funny, and one of the ones that it's one of the regular clips that is shown of that movie. So yes, Cannonball would have been a cool character, but Negasonic Teenage Warhead sounds cooler. Especially for a movie like this, which is so outlandish. It's like Cannonball is not an outlandish name. Negasonic Teenage Warhead is an outlandish name that fits this film. So it kind of makes sense. But the opening credits of this film, it's brilliant. I have never seen an opening credits of a film as good as this in my life. The opening credits was originally a placeholder. It was not meant to be in there, but Tim Miller found the parody titles funny enough to put in the actual movie. As a bonus, due to no actual names being in it, the filmmakers were not required to abide by guidelines about crew and actor credits because they weren't in the credits at all.
Yeah.
The opening credit. Look, it's the first 5 or 10 minutes of a movie are crucial in that you have to kind of suck your audience into this world. And the opening credits, like it's so damn smart of them to have done it like that. Because that's kind of what this whole movie was going to be anyway. Like, I talk a lot about Super Troopers from Broken Lizard Camp. It's like that opening scene. Pull the guy over, and they're having the conversation. He's like, the kids are high, like the chase, and like the whole going to the bar. Like that opening scene sets the tone for that entire damn movie. So, and this movie with that opening credit sequence does exactly that. It sets the tone for everything that this movie is. It's brilliantly done.
Oh yeah.
Even if it was brilliantly done. Let's see. The Deadpool creator Rob Liefeld has been open about the fact that he took the name for the character from the final Dirty Harry movie, The Deadpool, which came out in 1998 or 1988, rather. I'm sorry.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. I know his Rob Liefeld. His name is clearly visible in that Deadpool Wolverine trailer where they're walking out and like the smoke. It's like into the action scene. There's like a store named Liefeld or whatever behind them. So I know his name's all over this stuff. That's crazy though.
Yeah, I actually saw a video that I think New Rockstars did about the first trailer that came out when they're walking through that slow motion walk. The shop that's back there is Liefeld's shoe store or something like that. And the reason that's kind of a funny gag is because Rob Liefeld has apparently had problems drawing feet on his characters. Like the feet always look oddly sized or not quite portioned right. So making it Liefeld's shoe store was kind of a little bit of a dig at him. He's actually in this movie, believe it or not. He's one of the guys at the bar when Wade first.
He's at the bar, yeah.
When Wade first walks in after dealing with the guy delivering the pizza and all that, he walks there. He actually puts his hand on and goes, "Hey, Rob," and then he calls the other guy Liefeld or something like that. So he goes, "Hey, Rob, hey, Liefeld." So he's one of the guys at the bar.
Well, there's all kinds of these. I mean, there's so many movies that do that. I mean, hell, Stan Lee's the king of it. He's been, every Marvel movie. Hell, even non-Marvel movies, he gets to show up. I mean, hell, I think technically Mallrats probably started a lot of that with the Stan Lee cameo, so it's been around for a long time.
Well, Stan Lee, even before the MCU, was known for being involved in his live action or animated stuff. I mean, for the Spider-Man stuff in the 90s, he's the one that did the opening narration. I think the opening and the closing narration of the Amazing Spider-Man stuff in the 90s.
Right.
And then of course, you know, popping into all the movies that, but like I said, before the MCU started, like he was in the first Hulk movie with Eric Bana, him and Lou Ferrigno, actually. They were the security guards walking out of the building towards the camera.
Yeah.
Well, see, no,
we need to beef up
Lou
security
Ferrigno was he was the security guard in the Edward Norton Hulk, wasn't he? I think that's the one he was in.
No, in the Edward Norton Hulk, he's the one who drinks the contaminated bottle of soda.
That's right.
Yeah, and no, see, in that one, Stan Lee drinks the contaminated drink, and Lou Ferrigno is a security guard. Yeah. Okay.
No, in the Eric Bana movie, the one that came out in the early 2000s before the MCU.
He's the one with Sam Elliott.
Building, and then walking away from the building is Lou Ferrigno and Stan Lee, security guards.
Yeah, we had Sam Lee as Thunderbolt Ross.
Yeah, he's been a long time and everything. But there was actually going to be a running gag involving Wade and the other bar patrons betting money on how Amy Winehouse would die. This was cut because Winehouse actually did die sometime after the script was written, making the joke both irrelevant and of course sensitive.
I was like, didn't she die like not too long? Yeah. Yikes.
Whoopsie. I mean, it's not the first time that
real be a little too on the nose.
Kind of what a movie looked like. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's, shit happens. She was a very troubled person. You can only predict so much. It is what it is. So, what are you
gonna do? Yeah. Crazy world. I mean, hell, I just had that guy for that kid from Gen V just killed a motorcycle accident or something like that. And that's tragic. But let's see. For all of our friends up north, like Alex and the Garbage Man, what's up, Alex and Nick? Shout out to you guys. The shot up targets in Deadpool's bedroom are Royal Canadian Mounted Police firearms qualifications targets. Ryan Reynolds' father and brother are both members of the Royal Canadian Mounties.
I mean, he is
really.
Yes,
sense. That's cool.
That makes sense.
That is kind of cool.
It is pretty cool. I wonder if that makes it all like that much funner for them at work. like, hey, your son, your brother is like the merc with the mouth. They probably never get into that shit.
Right.
Let's see. The scene in which Deadpool breaks his leg, one of the many, breaks his hands and legs after attempting to punch and kick Colossus, is inspired by a similar scene from Monty Python: The Holy Grail from 1975, where King Arthur battles the Black Knight. King Arthur cuts off the Black Knight's limbs one after the other, but the Black Knight keeps fighting back.
I'm invincible.
There are a few things in life that annoy me. Musicals and Monty Python films, no, they just kill me, please. I cannot stand either. So, not a fan.
British humor.
Dude, British humor.
I don't get the British humor.
British humor is very dry. It's different. There's the show that I don't think it's on Netflix anymore. I found it on a streaming service a while back. I wanted to watch it. There's this British comedy called Black's Books, and it's about this this loser guy who owns a bookstore, and his friend tries to help him run it. And next door is this girl that runs like a beauty salon who's all infatuated with him. And it's just this. It's British comedy, and it's very dry and subtle. It's very situational. Like American sitcoms are always kind of, even if they're grounded, are still kind of over the top. Like the Goldbergs is fairly grounded, but I mean it's still kind of extreme situations and kind of it pours the stuff on the level. Big Bang Theory is another one. It's like it poured the nerd culture on very, very heavy. Even some nerds were kind of like, that's not really what it's like to be a nerd, but whatever. It pours on heavy, whereas British comedy tend to make it more realistic, and that's what works for the Brits. I still think one of the best things about Monty Python: The Holy Grail is the individual quotes from that movie. It's like you bottle all that stuff together and it works, but it's like, we are the knights who say, it's like those individual moments by themselves are so great, and they kind of work in this collection of a story. But it's like, I used to have a shirt that says, It said, "If you do not leave, I shall taunt you a second time."
Mm-hmm. And you know how many times sometimes I'll just be like, "And now for something completely different." Just a transition.
Never mind. I don't want to go to Camelot. It is a silly face. It's like that movie's so quotable. It's kind of like, see, if you just watch individual scenes, you will die laughing at Monty Python and Holy Grail. But it's like, if you watch it in its totality, it is true British humor that it's so subtle. I mean, just the idea of them like walking through the British countryside, like hopping like they're on horses. There's some guy with like
clapping coconuts together,
coconuts together to make the horse sounds. It's like it's visually
I still
so
see
silly.
people to this day at Comic-Con. I saw a guy. They both full armor. This guy did full on King Arthur, and he had Patsy behind him. They were just cooking the coconuts the whole. They went around the con just doing that. And I was like, I love your commitment to this. I have to get a picture with you too. It's funnier than hell.
That's commitment. I love Monty Python. It's so funny.
I'll try to find it. It is a.
If you get a chance,
I will have you know I'm a good old American boy. I prefer Terrifier as a comedy over Monty fucking Python. So that's a much funnier film.
You want to see some good British comedy that is actually on par with some of the stuff that we produce here in America. The guy Hugh Laurie that played House on TV.
I like that show. That was a good show.
There's a guy named Stephen Fry. He's the one that was in V for Vendetta, the guy that was the talk show host.
Yeah.
They've been friends for years, and before Hugh Laurie made it big, both in House and he played one of the hoods in the 101 Dalmatian movie. Before that, they had a sketch comedy show together on BBC called A Bit of Fry and Laurie. It is fucking hilarious. It was like a sketch comedy thing, and there was so much shit on there.
I think the funniest British thing I've ever seen. It was a sketch comedy show. Was it Benny Hill? I can't remember what.
Benny Hill was good.
It was the guy that he would chase the women around in their underwear. Dude. That had funnier moments for me than anything. That or what the fuck's that dude? Mr. Bean, I think it was his name. Mr. Bean had some funny moments, but that's about as far as I get on the British stuff. So,
all right, I found it.
I found a picture.
It was me as President Loki, and you kind of probably can't see it, but
cool. We can see that.
Yeah, you get the point. They were in full on, like they had the coconuts and the whole get up, and it was amazing. If you can see my face, I am smiling like a fucking idiot because I was just like, oh my god, yes, I found you, and then they just
lay down, dog.
Just clock off. I'm like, okay, I love it.
That is beautiful. But let me see. Let me get to the
back
real quick. Let's see. Jeremy, one of the movies I bring up to you all the time is Grosse Pointe Blank. It's one of those '90s movies that I love. I'm not gonna deny it. Ryan Reynolds actually loves that movie, Grosse Pointe Blank. And Wilson's comment about shooting Ajax in the head and fucking the brain hole is a nod to Dan Aykroyd's character in that movie, who says the same thing to John Cusack.
Yeah,
that's funny.
We have to review that movie. It's a great comedy. It's so damn good. Again, a '90s movie that I enjoy, and I will give Jeremy's favorite decade credit for that movie, if nothing else. But we talk about what could have been. There's some pretty interesting casting possibilities that almost happened in this movie. Taylor Schilling, Crystal Reed, Rebecca Ritters, Sarah Green, and Jessica DeGale were all considered for the role of Vanessa Carlyle. Olivia Munn actually turned down the role of Vanessa before it was given to Morena Baccarin.
Yeah, I would have rather had Vanessa or Monica over Olivia Munn. I don't know all of the rest of those names, but I'm pretty happy with what we got. So she's a hot piece of ass. I'm good.
Taylor Schilling is the girl that was the blonde girl in Orange Is the New Black, and I've seen her in other things, but
don't know if I've seen Orange. I've heard of Orange Is the New Black, but I don't think I ever watched that show.
I thought it was a pretty good show. I mean, my oldest son Keegan is actually burning through it right now. He's got into it. If you can get
isn't that the women in prison show?
Yeah, if you can get past the first couple episodes, I'm not going to lie, are not very good. It's basically softcore porn. And I'm kind of like, if I was watching this for that, I would probably like it. But I'm watching this because people are telling me it's a good show.
Well, if I want to do that, I'll just watch regular porn.
I'm not really getting good show vibes. If you can get past it, because the first couple episodes are just not that good. I think they were trying to set up the fact that this stuff happens in female prisons, and I'm like, it's not a secret. You're not telling me something I don't really know. Can we get to the story? The other thing about that show is Taylor Schilling's character, who was the main character of that entire show, is probably the 4th or 5th least interesting character in the fucking show. Like every other character is more interesting than her. It's disappointing because she's supposed to be the driving force of that show, but it's like there's so many other characters there that I found myself getting engrossed in. And Taylor Schilling's character, I was like, I don't care about you. You're the blonde girl who found herself in a. You're the spoiled blonde white girl who found herself in a bad spot. I get it, but that's not enough to drive the show.
It's always a white woman causing a problem in the world. Damn it.
But Ryan Reynolds, he obviously kept a lot of props from this, but he did admit that he stole the plush unicorn from the masturbation scene.
Of course he did.
Sorry, you guys were supposed to see this. I mean, of all the things you're gonna keep, I wonder if I could find one of those online somewhere.
I mean, with this image right here, where you just
Oh, I'm sure.
Tonight.
I'm touching myself tonight.
Oh man.
Some more potential casting. You talked about it earlier with Jensen Ackles. Jensen Ackles was once being eyed to play Wade Wilson, but dropped out due to scheduling conflicts with Supernatural.
Fair enough.
I could see him. I could see him playing Deadpool. I could see that. Jensen Ackles. He's not just always serious Dean Winchester or whoever else he's played. He's got a comedic side to him. I've seen him at cons. He's a funny dude. I could see him. How funny to have him as a Deadpool variant. That'd be like a beat cut or something.
I was never a big fan of Supernatural. I caught a couple episodes. My dad was.
I love Supernatural. I love most of that show.
I caught a couple episodes where I was just like individual episodes that would kind of lean on the comedy a little bit more than the darker stuff. I caught a couple of those episodes, and I thought his comedic.
Watch the first 4 seasons. The first 4 seasons are tremendous television. After that, it's hit or miss. There's 15 seasons in total, and then they did The Winchesters was a prequel show, and I've heard there's rumors of something within the Supernatural world that CW is talking about because that's all that they have is Supernatural that they've really ever had besides Smallville. So, but no, watch the first 4 seasons of Supernatural. It's awesome television.
Yeah, I watched it when I was in high school. I thought it was kind of fun.
Yeah, I saw a few episodes here and there. I didn't really get into the show as a whole, but my dad was a big fan of the show. But let's see. They originally wanted the end credit scene to feature Beast shitting on Wilson's lawn and then running off as Wilson shakes his morning newspaper, but they had to settle for a joke about it instead. Nicholas Hoult was game, says Ryan Reynolds, but they couldn't make their schedules work. That would have been a great scene.
Well, they pay that off in the next one, so it's fine.
True.
He gets to show up.
But let's get to this one. I know how much Jeremy loves games like this. Jeremy, I'm not going to ask you what the body count of this movie was because it's probably somewhere. It's probably somewhere in the 30 or 40,000 range. I mean, that one scene on the highway alone was probably 200 dead bodies. But we've talked a couple of times about the number of times that the F word is said in movies. So I'm going to ask you, Jeremy. I'm going to set the over under at 70. I'll start with you, Jeremy. You taking the over under of how many times the F word is said in this movie? I'm setting it at 70. You taking the over or the under?
See, Texas got me fucked up, and I don't want to do it because I want to make a joke out of it. I want to say under. I want to say 69, but
damn it! You stole my goddamn.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. If you want that, I was gonna go over.
The moment has passed. You stole my joke. I'm not gonna pick that number.
All right. Fine. You know what? Just for the lulz, I don't really care. So under, and I'm saying 69. LOL.
Tex, what do you think? I took the over under at 70. How many times do you think that word was said?
I actually think it was under, but I'll just say over to be different. I'll go 84. I don't know. I'll go in at 84.
Way to go, Tex, taking this one. The F word is said 79 times in this movie.
Really? Okay.
That again,
I mean,
is
that
according
was
to
a.
IMDb, which does
I
not
did it
always
for a
have,
joke. I
sometimes
was
does not have the accurate counts, but
I was gonna say over, but like I don't think it's out of the 70 range somewhere. But yeah.
Yeah, like it wasn't like extravagant. Like it wasn't like that one episode of South Park where they purposefully used it every other word just to get that bing counter up or whatever. But it's whatever. It wasn't any more than any other rated R, gangster type movie. It didn't feel like anyway. So no big deal.
let's talk about with this last one. Let's talk about how cool Ryan Reynolds really is. I mean, look, we all know how cool he is. We all know how nice of a guy he is. He is well known to be a nice guy to the fans. But sit down and get ready for this one. This is going to be the last one. I wanted to end on this one. I actually had this right at the top, but I wanted to end on this one. Through the Make-A-Wish Foundation, 13-year-old Connor McGrath, a terminally ill fan from Edmonton, requested to attend the special event for Deadpool in January, the year it came out, which turned out to be one of 2 special screenings that would happen in New York and Los Angeles for the fans. He couldn't make it due to the severity of his illness. Ryan Reynolds heard his story, traveled to Edmonton, and surprised him with a private special screening of the film. Reynolds said the boy was the first person to ever see the completed film, and he even kept in touch with this young man until his passing a few months later.
Yeah,
that's cool. It's always nice to hear or see when and not just movie stars, but sports stars. When a kid gets a home run ball ripped away from him by some douchebag, by an adult, whatever. It's cool to see when somebody's idol kind of reaches out to him like that. That's cool.
This is the stuff that grows the positive fandom. I talk all the time about how toxic movie fandom is and why I don't really consider myself a part of it. Why I only watch a few other movie YouTubers because there are people that are a little bit more objective and can look at things. But it's like, this is the kind of stuff that makes movie fandom not toxic. We need more of this. I get really disappointed sometimes when... Now, look, you can write to whatever movie star you want. I mean, there's ways to try to get letters to them, but odds are they don't read any of the letters that they ever get. If it goes to their publicist or whatever representation or whatever. But it's like, Ryan Reynolds is one of the few really big stars that actually looks for this stuff. Not to try to make a bigger name for himself, just to be like a positive influence in the fans that love him. This is the stuff that not enough big name actors are doing. Look, I know you get into this, you get into Hollywood, you get famous, you get rich, you get a little bit of power, and then all of a sudden people start coming out of the woodworks wanting to piece you. I've heard Joe Rogan talk about it a lot, about how he'll like meet some guy at a stand up and shake his hand and talk to him for a minute, and then that guy will go around talking about how he knows Joe Rogan. It's like, no, motherfucker, I shook your hand, introduce yourself to me once. We don't know each other, but for people like this to use their fame and power and their abilities to make even one person's life happy for a moment. Not enough of that. That's why I think there's this big there's not enough engagement between these super famous people and their fans. They think that because these people are going and buying their jerseys if they're athletes or buying tickets to their movies if they're movie stars, that's the engagement. That's not it. That's not it. That's not the kind of engagement that really gets you connected to fans. You want to build better fandom, do stuff like this.
See, I know the whole toxic fandom thing. I know that gets tossed around a lot. I don't necessarily believe the fandom itself is toxic. It's just there's like one or two shitheads online. It's always the minority that it's always the extreme on the minority, whether it's left or right, no matter what it is, that ruins it for the rest of us. I mean, there's so many different fandoms you can go through. Star Wars, Snyder Cult, whatever you want to go through. We're all fans of these things. All of us are Star Wars fans. All of us are fans of the superhero genre. But, I don't like to blame the bunch because of a few bad apples. I don't necessarily believe that logic, but it does warm your heart to see when, that story you told is literally Fanboys, the movie we just reviewed in real life, is what that is. And except they didn't break into Ryan Reynolds' house. Ryan Reynolds came to his house. That's literally the movie Fanboys. So, that's cool to see stuff like that. But, it's one of those things.
Yeah, there needs to be more movie stars trying to do stuff like this. Now it has happened. I think Johnny Depp's done stuff like this for kids. I think Johnny Depp has taken like the Pirates of the Caribbean to like children's hospitals and give them.
He goes to the hospital as Jack Sparrow.
Yeah. I think he's done stuff like that.
He stands in the ride at Disney like as Jack Sparrow, and he's just like, "Hey," he points at him in the boat and like, "Oh my god."
What kind of terminal, like, what kind of disease do I have to get to go have dinner with Sydney Sweeney? Like, how do I make this happen?
Decapitation.
I'm willing to lose a limb.
Some rare
like, I'm willing
that happened, and hey, I saw you in Madam Web. I don't know. Sure.
Like we need to get a campaign going where Sydney Sweeney reaches out to me, because that would just make my day. So, can we make that happen somehow, people? Come on, let's work together here. Come on now.
Well, we could call you the R word. Be like, he's a little messed up here. Can you just?
Oh yeah, I'm more than willing to play special needs if it gets me some Sydney Sweeney action. I am totally down.
She's on cameo.
What's that fucking movie with Johnny Knoxville? Is that what we're really doing? Special Olympics. Ice cream. When the fuck do we get ice cream? The Ringer. I got it now. The Ringer.
Oh, The Ringer. Yeah, that's what
it's called. Yeah. So all I remember from that is when the fuck do we get ice cream? Because I quote that so many times.
Right.
Because I mean, like, that's one of the best, like, just out of pocket improvised moments that I've seen in a movie, because you can see it on screen. Johnny Knoxville is trying to hide his fucking laugh by like turning his face into his buddy's like chest and trying not to like die laughing.
Frank, I'm going to ask you this question because I already know Jeremy's answer. One celebrity, like if you had a dying wish to meet one celebrity, I already know Jeremy's answer is freaking Eddie Munson. He just wants Eddie to show up in his house in real life. And or Loki. It's either Eddie Munson or Loki, one of those two. So, Frank, who is the celebrity that you would like to watch their movie with? Like, what would be your Ryan Reynolds?
You're missing a really important one. Okay.
You know, I don't know. I kind of like just watching movies for myself. I grew up in California, so it's like I've met some celebrities here and there. So I don't get starstruck. I mean, I've met Clint Eastwood a couple of times. I just I don't get blown away.
But
they're people.
I'm just saying.
So I've never really.
Danny Trejo came over to your house and wanted to watch Machete. Would you say no?
I 100% would not say no. I'd be like, there's a bottle of Patron right up there. I'd say, hey, Trejo, how about we run to the store real quick? I'll get some stuff. You can make me some tacos. I can have some authentically handmade Trejo tacos from Danny Trejo. We'll pour some Patron and we'll watch Machete. And we'll watch Machete 2. And then we'll go over script ideas for Machete in Space, which I still think we're one day going to get.
Just kind of did.
Only if we get Charlie Sheen still as the president and Mel Gibson as the bad guy. They have to reprise their roles. Just saying.
Cool.
Cool. I don't know.
Now I do know that Charlie Sheen is a big fan of bringing people over to his house to watch Major League. So but then he tries to have sex with them and gives them AIDS and shit. It doesn't go well. So.
Not worth the price.
You got to watch out with Charlie Sheen.
You get a little tiger blood in you.
Now, are we talking living or dead, and do they have to be movie stars?
Either way. Like, what is your dream scenario? The one celebrity that says, hey, Frank, I'm going to come bring my movie to your house, and we're going to hang out for 2 hours and watch.
So you're talking about actors?
Yes.
Not just like anybody, any historical figure, just actors?
No, one actor from a film that this person says, Frank is such an awesome guy. I'm going to bring my film personally to his living room, and we're going to stream it out and have tacos and whatever. Who is that?
Now again, we're doing anybody living or dead, right?
Living or dead does not matter.
Howard fucking Hughes.
I knew it.
Okay.
That's
all right.
I would let. Now he's not an actor; he's a director. But I mean, there's so much more about that guy we want to talk about. But I mean, he also directed Hell's Angels, which is a great movie, one that I would love to review at some point. He directed the original Scarface, which is a fantastic fucking movie.
Mhm.
I want to talk to him about the Conquerors, the movie he did with John Wayne. Supposedly, like all those people died of cancer because they filmed it in the area where they tested H-bombs back in the 50s. I'd love to talk to him about that. I would love to talk to him about all the aerial stuff that he did, all the piloting stuff he did, all of his scientific innovations. I would love to talk to him about all that stuff. That's one guy, like living or dead, that I could sit there for just days and just pepper them with questions. What about this? What about this? What about this? That's one of the few
actually,
people
wait.
I would love to sit there and talk to.
Jeremy, I'm going to take a shot here. If it's not Eddie Munson, Joseph Quinn, and or Loki, would the answer be Kevin Smith or Jay Muse for you?
Well, see, like Frank said, that is kind of a duality of like, well, he's a director, but also, I guess, technically they're actors.
Right.
Look, if Kevin Smith came to me and said, like, hey, we're going to watch the entire universe all in one sitting, which I think he did do once, like a few years ago, I would be like, yeah, fuck it. I'm all down for that. Let's pop in Clerks, let's go. Like, yeah, that would be fun. I wouldn't say no. And like I said, I've met Kevin Smith and Jay Muse at a con, and they were two of the coolest fucking dudes ever. I would love to have just sat down with them. Like it's a vibe thing where I'm like I said, I don't claim to just know these people. I'm like, I've met them, but I get a certain vibe from both of them where I'm like, no, I feel like they're genuinely really cool dudes that, they just had a really nice vibe about them. Like I was dressed as Eddie Munson when I met them, for fuck's sake, and they were just like, come on, get in here, man. Come on, give me a big hug, dude. He gave me a big hug first, and then we took a picture, and then I just, I was like, all right, guys, stooge. I just fucking walked out. Like,
of those two, I mean, not that I don't love Jay Muse for who he is and what he is in the world. I just love the guy. But of those two, it would have to be Kevin Smith, because I'd love to pick his brain about the creative stuff, about storytelling and filmmaking, because look, he made his bones on independent film when you don't have the luxury of resting a scene on special effects because you don't have good dialogue to put in there. I mean, that's what I would love to just sit and talk to him about. It's like, how do you craft this story and stuff like that and make it move so seamlessly and tell the story that you want to tell, only having the dialogue and the acting to lean on, the way that they made movies back in the 20s and 30s before explosions and computer-aided graphics and all that stuff. So that's what he does. He makes films the way they used to back in old Hollywood. It's all dialogue, acting, and substance. And while, yes, there is some special effects here and there, like as he got big, it's not what his movies rest on. So that's why I'd love to sit and talk with Kevin Smith about just having the creative vision is one thing, bring it to life as a whole other beast. And that's the part that I struggle with a lot, because I have no idea where I would start.
You just talk about how your girlfriend sucked 37 dicks.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it worked for him.
In a row?
Look at it this way. I was number 137.
Hey, try not to suck any dick on your way to the parking lot.
We have to do those movies at some point.
Oh my god, yes.
So I'm all down for fat Kevin Smith. I just skinny Kevin Smith is a bitch. That's all I'm saying.
We'll do all the Maxine movies next month. And somewhere in there we've got to start peppering in the VSQ.
Oh yeah.
So
we'll get to that. I can't wait for Mallrats. Mallrats will always be my favorite Kevin Smith thing ever. I adore that film. I love it. So I love it.
Wonderful toys.
Dogma. I love Dogma.
Dogma's good.
Yeah,
Chasing Amy.
Have sex in the most uncomfortable place you can imagine. The back of a Volkswagen.
I always wanted to be a dancer in Vegas. You didn't do that shit, did you?
Oh, good God. All the Kevin Smith stuff that we can enjoy. But that seems like a good place to start wrapping things up. Let me get you guys' final thoughts. I'll start with you first, Jeremy. Give me your final thoughts on Deadpool from 2016.
It's a good movie. It's a lot of fun. It doesn't really hold back. It's in its own little world. And honestly, you know what? I know we sat here and said it's kind of just a basic storyline, but I mean, I guess kind of what we just said about Kevin Smith. I'm like, there are other elements to this. There's dialogue, there's comedic tones, there's action scenes that all kind of, help embellish that kind of basic storyline. And that's what you want. And it's if you haven't seen this yet, I honestly don't know what you've been doing for the past, like 7 years, whatever it's been now. Yeah, definitely go watch it. 2 is just as funny. It's just on par, and I can't wait to talk about that. And definitely, I don't know if I'm ready for Deadpool and Wolverine, but I'm certainly going to try.
I don't know, Tech, we've had your one glitch for the show. how about you give me your
was.
final
Oh, no,
thoughts
that
on
one-
Deadpool from 2016?
I can't count that as a glitch because I got a text message and I was trying to clear it, but instead of sliding, my finger punched it. So that's a human error on me. But yeah, closing thoughts on Deadpool. I still believe Deadpool is best in small amounts. The character doesn't work when he's just there all the time, but it's a fun ride. It's a fun adult take on a superhero that we normally don't usually get because we get the clean PG or to PG-13 version. This is something for the grown folks that like the darker side of humor and whatever. So yeah, it's a fun watch. If you haven't seen it, go check it out.
Yeah, look, if you're going to start a franchise, this is how you do it. I mean, I remember hoping when this movie was over, I was like, I hope this isn't the only time we get to see this. And there was parts of me that were like, bring him into the next X-Men movie, because this is well before even the idea of the MCU getting a hold of this character and all this stuff. I was like, bring him in, let him be the comic relief for the entire X-Men universe. Maybe that could help offset the fact that you have no continuity. But yeah, just brilliantly done. I mean, look, this has been a passion project for Ryan Reynolds from the beginning. And you can tell because of the care that he's taken with it, the attention to detail that he's given to this character over the first 2, and I'm sure this third film coming up here in a couple of weeks. I mean, when somebody with a great passion for a project takes control of it, you end up getting something like this that is awesome. Again, $58 million, made $700-something million. It doesn't make that kind of money because it's not good or because it's trendy or catchy. It makes that kind of money because it's good. So, generally speaking, I mean, the last 3 or 4 Fast and Furious movies notwithstanding, but it's a fantastic take on this great character. This is how you fight the superhero fatigue, which I don't even think is still a real thing. That's how you fight it, is by approaching
I don't believe it either.
levels. That's how you fight this, is by approaching it from different levels and giving it different takes. Let somebody like Ryan Reynolds have fun with it, drop a lot of F-bombs, and carve people up with katanas. Let somebody have that kind of fun with it. Keep it all fresh. Kind of a palate cleanser so that we can eventually go back and do X-Men Days of Future Past. It's a bit more cerebral or something.
I do love that movie too.
Something
like the best X-Men movie
Avengers Infinity War, something like that, which is a lot deeper. Give us that little bit of a palate cleanser. That's kind of what this movie does. Is it keeps us in that world of the superhero comic book movie, but it kind of lets us kind of breathe a little bit, have some fun with it, so it's not always so stuffy like we're trying to save the universe from Thanos and shit like in every movie. It gets a little stuffy to do it like that. So this is a nice little turn into a different world. And sometimes you want to take the rocky road because it's just funner. You know what I mean? It's funner to dodge the potholes on the long rocky road sometimes than it is to take the nice smooth highway. But I think that's what this movie does. I think it's fantastic. I'm glad that it's become a franchise. I'm glad that the second movie got made. I'm really glad that the third movie's coming out. I think it's going to be a bomb. But yeah, I'm glad that we have this movie. I'm excited for the future of Deadpool. I think there is a future for Deadpool in the MCU, even if it is not necessarily a lot of his own movies, even with some cameos here and there, which I think will be fine if they're done the right way. Like Jeremy said, just let him come in and drop the one F-bomb that Disney's going to allow you to put into a movie. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. This is the great take on a terribly entertaining character. So yeah, well done all around. Thanks to Ryan Reynolds for giving us Deadpool. If you've done, look, he already gave us Van Wilder, which to me is one of the funniest R-rated movies ever made. And then he gives us Deadpool. Yeah. There is that fan theory out there that Van Wilder, when he graduated from Coolidge College, went into the military and became Wade Wilson. That he's actually Wade Wilson.
Hey, maybe on his way to becoming Wade Wilson Deadpool, he got a job as a waiter and he just waited for a while.
True.
Yeah. Throw that in there as well.
True.
Just saying.
As well. But thanks to my amazing co-hosts for doing what they do as always. Thanks to my hetero life mate Jeremy. What do you got going on, my friend?
Nothing. I'm here and I'm moving, which is taking up a lot of my life. So That's obviously not my name. That was just a joke. But you're not going to find anything anyway, so go looking.
Into the shape for the Lone Star State, my man Tex. He's got smooth criminals down under. What do you got going on, my friend?
Only the smoothest, buddy. Just hanging out, watching movies of, as I said earlier, about mutants and yeehaw people. That's what we're doing this month, so it's going to be a good one. But I am requiring everybody within our viewing audience or within the sound of my voice, get your ass to the movie theater and go watch Maxine. Best movie of the year. I don't care what anybody says. Go check it out. I loved it. I've seen it twice already.
I'm interested in seeing it. I'm going to try to watch the first two before I see Maxine, which is kind of a bummer.
That's the thing.
They've already set a digital release date for Maxine like at the end of the month, and I'm just like, come on, let these movies go to theater. You can enjoy Maxine without seeing the other two, but you're not going to get the whole story. This one you need to watch the first X more than Pearl, but you just watch both. Just watch the whole thing to get the full effect. So go check them out. And you will see me back here with the crew on Thursday going over Deadpool Deuce, Deadpool Part 2. We are breaking down all the Deadpool stuff, Deadpool and Twister all this month. So Deadpool 2 coming up on Thursday as we get ready for Deadpool 3, our prediction show, and stuff with Twister coming up at some point over the course of the rest of the month. But we are getting ever so closer to Deadpool and Wolverine. I am extremely excited. I'm going into I try to not let my expectations get too high for any movie these days. But I mean, this movie, I have never been as confident in a movie blowing me out of my seat as I am for this movie. I was confident with Avengers Endgame, and for the most part, it met my expectations. But I mean, this movie right here, I have high expectations, and I am sure it is going to meet just about every one of them. I'm really looking forward to this. I've already got plans to go see it Thursday, Friday, and possibly Sunday of the opening weekend. So if they end up breaking any records on opening weekend, it's going to be all because of this guy right here. So Ryan Reynolds, send me a bottle of that aviation gin. This weekend anyway.
Now, would you rather have the bottle, or would you have like a personalized Wolverine popcorn bucket for your,
I'm probably going to go online and buy one of the popcorn buckets anyway. So, I feel dumb for having missed the boat and not getting one of the Dune ones. So. I mean, they're still available online. They're just getting pricey, so I don't want to spend much money on them.
Odds are they probably designed those buckets like after the movie was already done, but I hope they have one in the movie somewhere. Like how cool, how meta would that be to see the Wolverine fleshlight popcorn bucket within the movie like that? They need to do that, but I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I heard. Excuse me. I'm not sure how real this fact was, but I've heard they had actually done a few small reshoots, inconsequential reshoots for this movie as recently as a couple of weeks ago. So, possibility
it's possible.
There's one of the popcorn buckets in there, but
I haven't seen any of the Wolverine mouth popcorn buckets, but I did go into my AMC the other day. They have the paper popcorn buckets, just the regular tubs that have the pictures of Deadpool and Wolverine on the side. So I know those are out. So the other ones may already be out in the wild somewhere, and somebody has it. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we will be back here on Thursday talking about Deadpool 2 as we march headlong into Deadpool and Wolverine, one of the most anticipated movies of the year. The only Marvel movie we're getting this year is Deadpool and Wolverine. They're pulling it back. They're getting it all right. I am very confident in the MCU moving forward, especially now that we are getting into the mutant saga, now that Deadpool's around. I still want to try to do like a prediction show. I don't know if we're going to be able to work that out, but I do still want to try to do like a Deadpool prediction show at some point between now and when Deadpool Wolverine comes out.
If not, we can tag it on that. Tag it on at the end of Thursday show or something. We can get it in one way.
There's so many questions that we have to discuss, though. I mean, potential cameos.
Oh, I know.
lasting effect to the MCU now that it's officially in there. There's so much to discuss. I don't know. I feel like it's a show in and of itself, but we'll get to that. Or maybe we'll just end up asking ourselves some of these questions about the long range plans when we do the review in a couple weeks. I don't know. But that's all for us tonight. We will see you guys back here on Thursday on Thursday for Deadpool 2. This one's going to have cable, as said by Wade Wilson right there in the great post. We will see you guys then. Until next time, adios.
Superhero landing.
What are you guys still doing here? The stream's over. Go on, go home.
We got to start planning ahead, getting with Brady about maybe shooting some stuff like that to have these little stingers at the end.
I really should have screenshotted a picture of Frank and printed it out and wore his face like Deadpool wears Hugh Jackman's face. That would have been a great thing. That would have been
face
fun.
he would sit on, don't lie.